Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us for our webinar this afternoon, all about our favourite classic city combinations by rail. It's the first time we've done a webinar like this, but it's a really nice opportunity for me to get to chat to some of you guys about the best ways to use the railways to see lots and lots of Europe using the high-speed trains to get between one city and another very, very quickly indeed. So we'll get started without much further ado. My name is Sarah. I work in marketing here at Railbookers, and I'm so pleased to have so many people with us today joining us to hear this webinar, and we will get started very soon. Before we do, it would be great to tell you what hopefully you already know, which is why book with Railbookers. And first and foremost, we do have an absolutely fantastic team of rail experts here in our London office. We've got fantastic teams over in Boston and in Southern California as well. And they're made up of what we like to call self-confessed train geeks. And these guys really do have the best knowledge of all the route systems, rail timings, all over the world. It can be very much like a jigsaw puzzle, and they're very, very good at putting it together, we find. And what they do is use our insider access. So direct partnerships with rail companies and hotels all the way across Europe, North America, and far beyond that as well, that mean that we have access to special rates and availability that just aren't accessible to the public. And that basically gives us total flexibility that we can pass on to you. So we can book the tickets even if they're not on sale to the public yet. So you can book your holidays all the way through to 2020. And of course, we can tailor make any of our itineraries to suit your exact requirements as well. So if you see a holiday that you like the look of in one of our brochures or on our website, or indeed on a webinar, but it's not quite right, we can tailor make it to your exact specifications. And of course, if they're nothing like what you're looking for, give us a call and we can make something totally bespoke to you. It is all about just making it hassle-free there for you guys. So we know it's complicated with so many different routes, trains, languages, different providers. Booking a rail holiday can be confusing, it can be stressful, but that's where we step in. We want it to be so all you have to do is sit back and relax. All of these reasons are why we're so proud to have won so many awards in our industry as well. You can see on your screen there just some of the rail partners that we work with directly. We're going to look at some of these in a little bit more detail today. And you can see some of the holiday types that we do. And as I did mention, absolutely everything that we do is tailor-made. So if you want us to build an itinerary just for you, we're more than happy to do that. The guys here love organising holidays like that. Or, of course, you're free to add nights on, take nights out, take the scenic route, do the holiday in reverse for any of the trips that you see on this webinar, but also on our site, in our brochures, things like that. We specialise in scenic rail journeys. They're our favourite. If there's a scenic route available, then our rail geeks will always tell you about it. And that is one of the things that we do love to do, and we'll look at some very scenic train journeys on the webinar today. Of course, we also specialise in luxury and private train journeys. So that could be the Venice Simplon Orient Express from London to Venice. It could be the Rocky Mountaineer through Canada, or indeed the Golden Eagle Trans-Siberian routes. We are experts in planning the holidays that surround these wonderful private train journeys. So if you do have, perhaps a big birthday or an anniversary coming up and you'd like to treat yourself to a journey like this, do just give us a call. City breaks, if you don't have quite as long, but you want to board the train anyway and see where it takes you. Things like the direct Eurostar to Amsterdam are very, very popular at the moment, I'm sure you can imagine. And anywhere really in France or Switzerland or Germany can easily be done as a city break if you've only got a couple of days. Rail and sail lakes and mountains holidays, just a couple of examples of the different types of a holiday that we can offer. But you give us a call and let us know what it is you're looking for, and we'll start from there. We'll be looking at many of these destinations in our webinar today. They're some of our top destinations that are popular year after year after year. Of course, Italy and Switzerland for the amazing scenery and the wonderful, very famous trains there. But also Spain and Portugal if you're looking for a summer holiday. Maybe you haven't got that sorted out yet. We're loving booking all of these holidays down to the warmth of Spain and Portugal for you guys at the moment. Scandinavia we'll have a little look at on this webinar for sure. And the USA and Canada are always very popular. Some of the most incredible, epic bucket list rail journeys in the world available over there. If you have any questions at all, and I've already seen lots of questions coming through, so thank you very, very much for submitting those. There should be a panel to the right-hand side of your screen where you are free and encouraged to ask any questions at all that you might have. We'll get around to answering some at the end of the webinar, but any that we don't get around to answering, we will follow up, of course, with a response. So don't worry, no question goes unanswered. Okay, so we've got 6 holidays to look at. Our 6 favourites, if we had to pick favourites, city combinations. So mixtures of cities that work really, really well with scenic rail journeys in between them, utilising the high-speed rail to get all over the continent. And we'll start with, perhaps the most classic, the fantastic trio of Italian gems, Venice, Florence, and Rome. And if we had to cherry pick the 3 top cities for a first-time visitor to Italy, these would definitely be them. And I love this holiday as well for a couple of reasons, because it combines all of our favourite sightseeing options, but also because it uses our favourite route to get out to Italy, the Via the Alps route that takes in the wonderful scenery of Switzerland. So the holiday starts off, you can take the train from London to Paris, and then, of course, from Paris to Geneva. Obviously, you can connect down from wherever your local city in the UK is and your local railway station. The train station in Geneva is about an 8-minute walk from the lake. So we work with lots of fantastic hotels right outside the station, so you can hop off the train, hop to your hotel room, freshen up, and then head straight out. And if you leave London in the morning, you should be in Geneva by the early evening, so you can have a full evening to have dinner and explore the city, wander down to the lake, and you see the amazing jet d'eau there. Spend some time in the city. You could definitely extend to spend another night in Geneva if you wanted to as well, to really make the most of your time there. From Geneva, there is a direct train that will take you to Milan, to Venice. It also goes to Verona. And it is a wonderful journey that goes along the north bank of Lake Geneva for really, really quite some time, about an hour at the beginning of the trip, and then goes through the Swiss Alps, and then goes along the banks of Lake Maggiore as well before it gets to Milan. So it really is a beautiful journey. It goes along the old Simplon Pass that the Orient Express used to take. And all these pictures here are pictures that I took from a moving train when I did this exact journey last October, I think it was, in the middle of last October. So it's hard to take pictures from a moving train, so these don't really do it justice, but just wanted to show how, wonderfully scenic it is. You will arrive into Venice. It's about 7 hours from Geneva to Venice on the direct train. Or, of course, you can change in Milan. You can have a couple of hours or lunch in Milan if you like, and then carry on to Venice. When you arrive in Venice by train, you get the amazing views of the Venetian lagoon sort of stretching out to either side, right out to the horizon as the train rolls across the causeway. And it is the way to arrive in Venice. It's so relaxing and so pretty as well. And when you get to Venice, you'll be right in the centre at Santa Lucia station. Hop off the train, and we work with so many different hotels in Venice, from everything from our favourite sort of 4-star family-run boutique hotels that we've been working with for years and years, right the way to the luxurious 5-star properties that are very, very famous. So just chat to us and let us know what it is that you're looking for. With these ultimate holidays that we offer, we are able to showcase what we think are the best of the cities that we offer by adding on tours and sightseeing and the best of kind of the local attractions. every single one of these has been sort of tried and tested and verified that it is, definitely the best sort of thing to do. Our product team have handpicked all of them. And in Venice, of course, we'll offer a gondola ride. So that's included with the holiday. It was a wonderful thing. It is definitely the quintessentially Venetian experience, isn't it? And I nearly fell in when I got off of mine, which isn't normal. I was assured. They found it hilarious. But it was a really fantastic experience. We also include a skip the line tour of the Doge's Palace and St Mark's Basilica, that amazing church right on St Mark's Square, the main square in Venice. So we're definitely able to add those in and offer those for you. From Venice, it's a short, high-speed, very, very comfortable journey to Florence on one of the fantastic high-speed Italian trains. They're very modern and very comfy. Florence, obviously, right in the middle of the wonderful sort of Tuscan hills. It is a fantastic city break destination and pairs really well after the waterside beauty of Venice. It's a really lovely Renaissance gem with some of the most fantastic art and architecture in the world. We do include skip the line entrance to the Uffizi Gallery, where you can see the Birth of Venus painting among numerous other kind of masterpieces. And we include a sightseeing walking tour as well that will show you with an experienced local guide the best bits of the city. So you'll go past the cathedral there and to Santa Maria Novella, the church and things. So it is a wonderful way to get your bearings in Florence if you are a first-time visitor. I love that Florence is a very walkable city as well. It is very easy to kind of just wander around, get lost, and still see all of the main sort of highlights. From Florence, it's another direct high-speed journey down south to Rome. And in Rome, we'll organise, of course, a Sistine Chapel tour for you. If you've never been to Rome, that is definitely a must-do in the city. But even if you've been 100 times, it's great to have all of that organised before you get there. So you're getting the very best value and you don't have to queue, etc. We'll also include an ancient Rome and Colosseum walking tour, which is definitely a fantastic way to get your bearings in the city, but also to, explore some of the most wonderful landmarks as well. And it's really nice because obviously all of our holidays are totally independent. So, you can explore at your own pace and do your own thing. But it's nice to have an experienced guide just for little sections like that. So you know that you're not missing anything and you're getting the full story and everything like that along the way. Italy is definitely one of our best selling destinations here at Railbookers, and there is pretty much nowhere in Italy that we don't go. So, of course, you don't have to stick to the Venice, Florence, and Rome itinerary. You can very much change that around. You can go wherever in Italy you like, and via Milan, which is very much the railway hub of Italy, you can use the trains to get to the Cinque Terre, to get to Venice, as we saw, Florence, Rome, the Amalfi Coast, and Naples, Verona, the Italian lakes. I'm just sort of naming places in Italy, but all of those are possible to reach directly by high-speed trains. So it is absolutely possible to build your own Italian rail itinerary. And let's let your imagination be the limit is what I'm trying to say. And we'll definitely be able to kind of bespoke build a holiday for you, all using that amazing route via Geneva and through the Swiss Alps, which is definitely our favourite way to get around. Leaving Italy and travelling on to Portugal with this fantastic itinerary combining three of Portugal's wonderful, colourful, historic and cultural cities. This shows flights into the first city and out of the last city, but of course you can travel down by rail if you'd rather take the sleeper train down. You can travel down from Paris to Hendaye and then take the Sud Express sleeper train into Portugal. That's definitely possible. If you do fly, though, you can fly from any airport in the UK that you like, and the first stop will be Porto. which is also the venue for my most recent city break. I went with my family for my father's birthday very recently, and it was such a wonderful city. We all fell in love with it. We're everything from teenagers up to old people, as I could say, just fell in love with the city. It is got such a wonderful medieval district right at the core, with lovely cobbled streets and old merchants' houses and beautiful colourful tiles on the walls and the passageways. So it was really, really colourful and easy to fall in love with there. If you cross over the river from sort of the main centre, there are port houses all along the banks down, so you can go for tastings and tours and take some souvenirs back. No weight restrictions or luggage restrictions on the train, so you can stock your suitcases full of port if you are taking the rail home. You can do a 6 bridges tour. We can definitely organise for you. There are 6 main bridges that sort of cross the Douro, and there's a lovely cruise that kind of goes out and sees all of them. And my top tip for the city was definitely the Libreria Lello, which was the bookshop that J.K. Rowling based the Hogwarts library on, but it's just a really lovely old bookshop with winding staircases and floor-to-ceiling titles, and it was an absolutely lovely thing to do. So definitely recommend that if you do end up in Porto this summer or next year. From Porto, it's either just over an hour or just under an hour from the beautiful mosaic São Bento station in Porto down to Coimbra. There's first class and standard class available on that train. The city is the country's former capital, so it's got lots and lots of history for you to discover. It's got a nice preserved medieval old town with one of the world's oldest universities as well. That's very much the thing it's most famous for. It's got all the amazing buildings that would be associated with that. So beautiful Baroque library. And it's still a university city, so it's very lively and vibrant. Lots of things to see and do. From Coimbra, you can take the train. It's just under 2 hours, a direct service that goes from Coimbra to Lisbon. And if you've never been to Portugal, this is a great city to include on your first visit. It is one of the most wonderful capital cities in Europe, I'm sure. Very hilly and lovely views out by the coast. It is a coastal capital, which I always think is fantastic. There's a wonderful castle, the São Jorge Castle, that you can walk around and explore, and lovely views over the colourful old town from there. Obviously on a river as well. It's on the River Tagus, and you can see the estuary and the suspension bridge and all the lovely colourful houses that you see there. You can ride one of the sunny yellow trams, which are very, very famous in the city and really easy to bring a smile to your face. Sticking to that sort of region, and this is one of our favourite city combinations. It is right down in the south of Spain, the Andalusian Explorer. 4 fantastic cities, including the Alhambra in Granada, which will obviously include the entrance for you too. You can fly in and out of Malaga, or you could take the train down Paris to Barcelona and then ride the rails all the way down through Spain if you wanted to. Most airports in the UK fly to Malaga because it is quite famous as a sort of a package holiday destination, but that is no sort of the actual city centre is miles away from the kind of Costa del Sol package holiday image. It's a really beautiful old town. It's got 2 massive hilltop citadels and lots of architecture that's very reminiscent of the Moorish rule, as is true in a lot of Andalusia. So it's a lovely place to start off your holiday before travelling on to Granada, right in the foothill of the Sierra Nevada mountains. And they're building a high-speed line between the two at the moment. So at the moment it's not high speed, but it's a nice journey down. And of course, when you're in Granada, it will include tickets to the Alhambra for you, the Palace Fortress complex that our general manager here says is one of the top 3 most beautiful things he's ever seen in his life. And he has been all over. So that's high praise indeed. It's an incredible complex full of different palaces and patios and lovely reflecting pools, and just one of the best examples of medieval architecture that dates all the way back to the Moorish occupation. It can be very, very difficult to get tickets and entrance to the Alhambra, especially if you turn up on the day, and the queues are quite famous. So it's definitely fantastic, both for value but also for your time, to let us organise that before you go, as it is the main sort of attraction in Granada. From Granada, you can journey down to Cordoba. It's part train, part bus, but it's a very easy journey to make. Cordoba is a very important city during the Roman times and a huge Islamic centre in the Middle Ages. So it's got that melting pot mishmash of architecture that sort of makes it so special. The most famous, perhaps, landmark was La Mesquita. It's an immense mosque that dates all the way back to 784 AD. Lovely mosaics and a column prayer hall that you can see a little bit of there, which is always one of the most popular things that people do in Cordoba. From there, you can take the train to Seville. It's a high-speed journey on one of Spain's lovely modern high-speed Ave trains. It takes about 47 minutes. There's 3 different classes of travel, so I'd be more than happy to talk about which class of travel best suits you. Seville is one of my favourite cities in the world, and was voted one of the top places to visit in 2018 by Lonely Planet. So it seems like everybody's finally waking up and realising what an incredible destination city Seville is. It is one of the best places in the world, the best place in Spain for flamenco dancing, watching, or of course taking part if you're so inclined. But I think we stuck to watching. It's the capital of Andalusia, so there's lots going on. It's a very lived-in city, but some of the most beautiful art and architecture, including the Alcazar Castle complex that we loved, and the Gothic Seville Cathedral that you can see in the picture there. The site of Christopher Columbus's tomb. From Seville, you can fly directly back into many cities in the UK, or you can travel back to Malaga. It takes about 2 hours and fly home from there. Or, of course, you could catch the rail home via Madrid, perhaps, and spend a bit more time in Spain and have a relaxing end to your holiday. The Scandinavian Grand Tour was the first sort of longer Railbookers holiday that I ever did back in 2013, and it is it was 2013, about 5 years ago now, which shows how long I've been here, doesn't it? But it is such a classic holiday, and those 4 stops in Scandinavia are all absolutely fantastic, so different, and all incredibly worth visiting. The journeys between them and the rail elements to this holiday are really exciting and special as well. So it's definitely a region that's growing in popularity, and it's so easy to link up these capital cities. Start off the journey from whether your local station is in the UK, or from London, St Pancras International, where the Eurostar goes from, or from Ebbsfleet or Ashford. Take the Eurostar to Brussels, and then just a quick hop across platforms will see you on a train to Cologne. You can spend the night in Cologne. The cathedral is literally right outside the station, so you pull in right to the heart of the city, and you can take a trip up to one of the spires and look over the river. It's a beautiful, beautiful kind of sight from the top of the cathedral, if you've got the energy, which you will have, because it's a very relaxing journey from London out to Cologne. From Cologne, you travel up via Hamburg and take the boat train. It is about a 9-hour journey from Cologne to Copenhagen, and the boat train is the highlight of it. It is literally one of the places in the world where your train still boards a ferry. So it goes onto the ferry. The ferry then crosses the strait between Denmark and Germany and Denmark, depending on which way around you're doing it. And you can get off and wander around the ferry and use the amenities there as well. As of next year, the boat train will be no more, and it will be an underwater tunnel similar to the Eurostar. So if you are a boat train fan, and this year is definitely the time to do that. You'll arrive then in Copenhagen, which is one of my favorite cities. I've said that a lot this this webinar, but it is such a fantastic place for the amazing kind of design elements, for old architecture. It's very friendly, and it's just a wonderful place to visit at any time of year. The station is right outside Tivoli Gardens, which is one of the world's oldest theme parks, definitely Europe's oldest theme park, right back to the 19th century. And it's got lovely markets. We went for New Year a couple of years ago as well, and those Christmas markets in Tivoli Garden were probably the best that I've seen. The street there is the main sort of street for visitors to go to. It's Nyhavn, home to Hans Christian Andersen's house, and it's a walk from there to the Little Mermaid statue that's also dedicated to him. He was a Copenhagen native. The centre itself is really walkable. You can go to Fredrikstad and the Rococo district with lots of the palaces and the museums and things, but it's lovely to walk around, and you can take boat trips in the summer, as we did. They'll take you out to the Little Mermaid, which is really, really nice thing to do. And, people are swimming around as you get a bit further outside of the city centre, and there's a really, really lovely, relaxed pace of life there, and taking a boat trip is a really nice way to soak it up. From Copenhagen to Gothenburg, you'll cross the Øresund Bridge, a marvel of engineering and a real highlight for many, many people. Bridge enthusiasts and train enthusiasts and cool things enthusiasts as well. It's about 4 hours from Copenhagen to Gothenburg, depending on which way around you're doing it. And 16 kilometers of it is across the Øresund Bridge, and when we were on it, lots of people were sort of running to the sides to try and take photos. It is a very impressive bridge that links Denmark and Sweden. You'll arrive in Gothenburg 4 hours later, and Gothenburg was perhaps, when I did this trip, the city I was least looking forward to, but ended up being perhaps the one I fell the most in love with. It is Sweden's second city, and it's a very important seaport still, so it's very kind of got a culture that's very much based on the water. Obviously, it's got the sea, but it's also got Dutch-style canals that sort of run right the way through it, weave the way through the city. It's very authentically Scandinavian, if you understand what I mean by that. It was voted the most sociable place in the world last year, which is great for me because obviously, as you might be able to tell, I do love to chat. It was a fantastic place for kind of wandering around. There's lots of green areas, including a 137-hectare park in the city centre. If you stay an extra day and add on a night in Gothenburg, there's about a 30-minute train ride away, I'd say. There's a lovely kind of the edge of the archipelago with beaches and things. It feels a whole world away from the city centre. So I can definitely recommend that. And from Gothenburg, it's about 4 hours on to Oslo. So you could actually do Copenhagen to Oslo all the way through in one day, but definitely you need to spend at least one night in Gothenburg to soak up how fantastic it is. The journey from Gothenburg to Oslo was really, really nice and scenic. It ended with sort of the sun hanging really low over the water outside Oslo, which was beautiful. You go through lots of towns that, I certainly will never be able to pronounce the names of them. They're, very quintessentially Scandinavian towns and lovely greenery en route. Oslo itself is also a really green city, lovely boat trips that you can take out to the surrounding fjords there. It's not the cheapest city in the world. You've got to be honest. You've got to be honest about that. But what we like to do is recommend an Oslo pass that we can add on. It's fantastic value, especially to do it before you travel. It makes it so reasonable to explore. It includes all the public transport, and then access to the Nobel Peace Centre is in Oslo, the City Hall, which you can see in the picture there, the National Gallery, the Viking Ship Museum, which was my favourite thing that we did. It houses a 9th century full Viking ship in its main hall, which is absolutely incredible. And you'll also get access to a city cruise and a walking tour. So that's what we would sort of recommend in Oslo. From there, it's about 5.5 hours right the way across Sweden, really, and you'll end up in Stockholm, the capital city, which is a lovely mix of kind of really modern and dynamic atmosphere, Stockholm, I didn't know this, is actually the second most prolific tech hub after Silicon Valley in the world. So it's really, really modern. But then it also has got the wonderful old town, the Gamla Stan that you can see there. Stockholmers call their city beauty on the water, we were told when we were there. And you can definitely see why, because it's got lovely cobbled streets and those ochre-coloured buildings and lots of museums and things like that to explore. The open-air museum and the zoo is definitely a highlight if you don't spend all of your time in the ABBA museum, which I wouldn't blame you for. From Stockholm, you can fly back to the UK or take the train back if you'd rather. Or why not take the ferry overnight from Stockholm to Helsinki and then tick off the other capital city in Scandinavia as well. If you don't have quite as long and you don't have the time this holiday to, go shuttling around Scandinavia by train, this is one of our most popular holidays because it's so simple but combines two fantastic holidays, two fantastic cities into one holiday. Get 2 nights in Cologne. It's so easy to get to Cologne. You just go from the Eurostar, London, Ebbsfleet or Ashford, change the platform in Brussels and you'll be in Cologne. It's only 4 hours on the train, so it's really easy. Couple of nights in Cologne. As I did say, it is right outside the station, the cathedral. It's about 2,000 years old, the city, and it does look over the beautiful river. And the best way to see that is to climb up to the top of I think it's the South Spire that you can climb to the top of. We can organise things like KD Rhine passes, which mean that you'll be able to sort of hop on, hop off, as it were, as you go along the Rhine, and you really can see quite a lot of the amazing waterside scenery that way. From Cologne, it's about a 4-hour journey to Berlin, so a nice civilized journey time. There's lots of trains every day, so you can let us know which journey time you'd most prefer. Travel is on the fantastic high-speed German ICE trains, which are very modern, very sleek, and very, very fast. So you can get all the way from Cologne to Berlin in 4 hours. If you've never been to Berlin, it's fantastic, and arriving by rail into the central Hauptbahnhof is amazing. It really is the new age of train stations, and walking through Berlin definitely feels like wandering through a history textbook. It is an absolutely fantastic city, cram full of landmarks and of history on every single corner. So definitely a fantastic one. It links really well with Cologne, and then at the end of your trip, you can either fly back or, of course, you can just take the train back. It's definitely possible to go from Berlin back to the UK in one day. Our last holiday now, and I've tried to bookend this with the two ultimate holidays, the two perhaps classic city combinations, the most classic of all. Berlin, Prague, Vienna, and Budapest is such a great example of how you can use high-speed rail in Europe to see 4 capital cities so easily in one trip. You can travel all the way out to Berlin, as we just saw, by rail in a day, have a couple of nights there, and then move on, taking the high-speed train between each of these cities. As I said, with the ultimate holidays, we like to include all the things that we've tried and tested and we know give the very best experience and the very best insight into the cities that we work with. So starting off in Berlin, we include a trip to the Brandenburg Gate Museum entrance there. It's a really fantastic museum. It kind of documents the history of the Brandenburg Gate throughout the history of Berlin. So it's a great thing to do as soon as you get there because it really roots you sort of in the history of the city. And it's a really interactive kind of modern museum as well. So it's quite new. So it's fantastic. Our staff were really, really impressed when they went. We'll also do a Berlin walking tour for you. So you can, get your bearings in the city and explore the Berlin Wall and Checkpoint Charlie and the Holocaust Memorial and see the Reichstag and Brandenburg Gate. It's a really fantastic first thing to sort of do so that you know where you are and get that amazing history and commentary provided by a local guide. From Berlin, you can ride the rails on a direct train to Prague, the city of 1,000 spires, they call it, because you can see even from that kind of zoomed in picture how spire woven the skyline is. We organise a hop-on, hop-off tour for you in Bath, which is definitely, I mean, I love a hop-on, hop-off bus tour. The London one stops right outside our office, and it is fantastic to see everybody having such a fantastic time, sort of exploring the city, sitting back, relaxing, seeing the city as you travel through, which I suppose you don't underground at all. And obviously it stops at all of the main places that you'd want to visit, so you can just get off and explore from there. I mean, the one in Prague stops at Prague Castle, the Old Town Square, of course, the big monastery. So it's really easy to make your way around. It even stops at the train station. So there you go. From Prague, it's another direct high-speed line to Vienna. I visited Vienna last year in January. It doesn't seem that long ago. It seems like yesterday, but it was last January. It was very, very cold, but it was just fantastic. I absolutely fell in love with Vienna. There is so much amazing architecture and culture everywhere you look. It is absolutely fantastic. This is Schönbrunn Palace, and we include a Vienna pass when you book this holiday. And that obviously includes access to Schönbrunn Palace and to the Hofburg Imperial Palace as well, which we were only there for 2 days. We managed to squeeze all of this in quite comfortably. The Hofburg Imperial Palace, which is incredibly opulent. Of course, the Spanish riding school as well, and the zoo, which is one of the world's most famous. And it includes a hop-on, hop-off bus as well for you, so you'll be able to get from place to place very easily, which is nice, as the Schönbrunn Palace is just outside of the centre, so it's nice to get the transport there. The last stop on this itinerary is Budapest, and of course we include a Danube cruise. Budapest is split into Buda and Pest, either side of the Danube River, and the Danube River cruises with drinks are amazing. So it's lovely to see all of the fantastic scenery and Fisherman's Wharf and the Hungarian Parliament building, which is very, very ornate from the sides of from the river. It's the best perspective. The picture there is of the main baths in Budapest as well, so definitely don't forget to take your bathers, as the whole city is built on thermal hot springs, and the baths are absolutely fantastic, really, really nice and warm and wonderful to visit any time of day. Lots of locals sort of playing chess. They've got chessboards sort of there just above water level, so it is fantastic, and definitely something that I'd recommend. It was my favourite thing that we did in Budapest when we went in October, so can definitely recommend that. Hopefully that gives you a good overview of a couple of the different holidays by rail that you can do that take in some of the most classic combinations of cities. Of course, there's nothing to say that is what you're limited to at all. Certainly you could go, and spend the summer going to Zagreb, Split and Dubrovnik if you wanted to. Anywhere in kind of Spain, obviously we do lots with Paris and Barcelona. Those two link really easily. Or, I mean, I could just list destination after destination after destination for you, but the railway network in Europe is fantastic. So it's more than possible for you to kind of create your own itinerary, let us know where you want to travel, and let us put something together for you. There are many more ideas in our brochure that you can get from www.railbookers.co.uk/request-brochure, or explore our website if you can't wait to receive your brochure in the post. If you just click on the destinations tab, then you can explore all of the holidays that we offer, although of course don't forget that we certainly can bespoke or tailor make any itinerary for you. Every webinar has to have a winner, and it is my favourite part to give out the voucher, the £50 voucher towards your next rail holiday with us. The winner today is... Got nobody to provide me with a drum roll, so I'm just pausing for dramatic effect. Tim Mason, thank you very much for joining us, Tim. I'll get in touch with you with details of how to redeem that. And absolutely everybody gets £25 per person off their next rail holiday as well. Just use that code and get in touch with us before the 30th of June 2018. How do you get in touch? That's a great question. Give us a ring on 0203 780 2382. Speak to one of our fantastic rail experts. Or, of course, pop into your local travel agent and they'll be able to arrange your favourite Railbookers holiday as well. Thank you so much to everybody for submitting questions. We will get in touch with every single one of you and provide the answers. We've got time for a couple now. We've got a couple of questions. Actually, a couple of people have asked this, so I'll answer this one. And people are asking what the best time of year to go to, insert location here that they want to visit. And I think the fantastic thing with city breaks and, what we've shown here are city breaks and multi-city adventures is that there's no best time of year to go. The trains run all year round. They're the public trains, so we'll definitely be able to organise the journeys for you. And there's no bad time to sort of go to the galleries and the museums and things. In January, obviously it'll be colder, but everything's a bit quieter, and the hotel rates are often fantastic. So that's when I like to do a lot of my travelling. But in the summer, especially if it's somewhere coastal like Lisbon or one of the lovely southern Spanish cities, the summer's going to give you all the warmth. So it's just up to you whenever you want to travel. If you are really flexible, just get in touch and we'll tell you when the rates are the best, and you can decide that way. So yeah, there's whenever you like is the answer. There's no limit to when you can travel. We've also had a couple of questions from people, and I love answering this question because we do get it all the time. People asking when they can book. Can they book? They know where they're going this year, but they're looking for next year. And you can book any of the holidays on this webinar, or indeed any of the ones on our site, all the way through 2020 at the moment. So if you've already been very organised and got your summer holiday done for this year, then no problem at all. Give us a call for next year, or indeed the year after. And it is very much a case of the early bird gets the worm. So, of course, if you are still planning your summer getaway this year, then it's definitely not too late. So give us a call and we'll be more than happy to organise that for you. All that's left to say is thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're so pleased to have so many people with us, and thank you for giving up a chunk of your Thursday afternoon. It's been a great pleasure. Looking forward to speaking to everybody very, very soon and to planning your next holiday by rail. Thanks very much for joining us.